I've never had any lessons in photography. I had to learn it from books, and I made a lot of mistakes in the early days, but I'm gradually getting a bit better. At least people don't grizzle so much about the prints now. Well, running photographs is the greatest thing we've ever done. If we're ever running, or we've got a lot of space to fill up and nothing to put in it, stick a big photograph in there. You're sure to please somebody.
Have a look at this.
If something's got to be said, you know, I'm not worried about saying it. I get chipped a few times about writing about the young blokes doing wheelies, but they've got to realise that, you know, they're going to lose a son, but I'm the poor idiot's going to have to write an editorial, an obituary about them, and it's not very easy to write an obituary about some young idiot who's just wiped himself out in the road.
Sometimes Dad writes up about all the wheelie experts and, you know, giving them a hard time, but I reckon he does as many wheelies as they do himself. I think I've been lucky that Dad was boss of the paper, because I got first choice, I suppose, over anyone else. And I knew a couple of years before or so that I might have got the job. And like a lot of other kids, they're on the farm and you might have another older brother or something working there, and all their father's in a one-man job and they can't get the job for themselves.
If you're right there, I'll go back over here.
If I take it over, I might make a few changes. Depends, like I might put a couple of offset machines in, you know, stick some faster printing machines in, because some of them at the moment are a bit slow.
Pardon? You eating? No. The people in the town, I think some of them look at the paper as a good thing. Some say it's no good at all, but they're the first ones that ring up when the paper doesn't arrive. I think generally we're reasonably well received.
It's a good, clear layout, but I would like to see a bit more news, especially to do with courts, and a bit more serious news, I feel.
Oh, it's okay. I suppose it's essential in a country town, but I'm not too keen on the editorials, honestly.
That's a funny thing about editorials. I can write one and say there's a pressing need to clean up an area of the town, but nobody takes any notice. But it might be 2 months or 2 years later, someone decides, oh, we must clean that area of the town up. You know, that's their idea then. Well, that's all right. I've put the idea in the mind. It doesn't worry me. If something's got to be said, I don't mind saying it. It's got to be done.
Oh, I think it's a very good paper.
It's quite good. It is a local paper. It covers all the local news without overdoing it.
I like his photographs. He covers that very well.
This way, Hilda.
Yeah, Mr. Meadows.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that more, boys. I heard those.
Yeah, a lot of people were after them.
Yeah, a couple of councils are sitting down there wondering where on earth they were. Yeah. That looks all right. We'll put that in for you.
I don't know. I think the guy that runs has got too much to say, as an honest fact.
I think it's necessary to have a paper in Boort because it conveys to the people all facts and doings around the district.
Hello, Gary. There's the ag results for you.
Running a bit late, aren't you?
Oh, well, you know.
Geez, powerful, got thrashed again.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll give that a big heading.
Yeah, I bet.
So I suppose he covers the sport locally, court cases and that sort of thing. Good to see more of those.
Yeah, I'd like to see more things for young people in the paper. Would be real good then.
I've got to work my way, my style, my hours, and that's the only way I can work. Must be a loner, I think.
It's all right for the town of Boort, yeah. And, you know, so it's got all the news of Boort, and that's real good, yeah.
You have to go for it.
I'll try.
Swear it, we're chasing 250.
The stuff's on the tray. I wouldn't say that newspapers are very financial, not small country newspapers. I think you need a population of at least 3,000, which of course we haven't got when you include Boort and Combatook. But I think we're starting to turn the corner. I'd say we're going to break even this year, might even do a bit better than that. It's a long, hard drag. A lot of people don't appreciate just how many hours are involved. I say it's 80 hours a week and everybody laughs, but you take seven days a week, usually 8 or 9 hours a day. Weekends it could be from 8 o'clock Saturday morning to 1 o'clock the next morning. Sunday could be the same. Then there's the meetings that have got to be covered and photographs taken and prints made. And it's not very hard to bring up 80 hours a week. Some years ago I read a book about the loneliness of a long-distance runner. I think I'm like all printers. I'm going to write a book when I retire. And I'm going to write a book on how lonely it is being a newspaper editor of the night time. When you're working back, it's not so bad in the summer nights because there's always someone wandering around, but you take 2:30 on a cold, wet winter Saturday night, it's not very funny. To me, religion is rather important. I don't get time to go to church, and I suppose that's a very poor excuse. I'd like to go along every Sunday morning, and I think once every week I promise that I'll get there the next week. But something goes wrong, and the paper's running a bit late, and I seem to have to stay back and fix it up. But I do believe it's very important, and I think the town does too. People in Boort, I would say, I know it's a hackneyed phrase, but I think they're salt of the earth in Boort. If you want something done and you go to the people, they'll do it, if you can convince them they need it. Occasionally we will be doing a story and someone knows we're going to do it and they'll come in and say, you know, I don't want you to do that, I don't want you to put it in whatever way you're going to do it, however they know. But we don't drop stories.
We've got a bad-looking bowl.
I think it's definitely worth the effort. It's self-gratification, I think you'd call it. There's a certain sense of achievement in turning out a paper every week, knowing you've got to meet the deadline. I think you're sort of living on your nerves all the time because no matter what happens, it's got to come out. And I think that's where I get my kicks. The Boort Standard and Combatook Times has won quite a lot of awards through the Country Press Association. 6 of those were won as the best newspaper printed letterpress under 1500 circulation, but the best award we ever won was in 1977 when they decided to split the award into letterpress and offset section. We had to compete against papers with up to 15,000, 20,000 circulation. We beat them. That's been the best.
The news devotes its time to city crimes and foreign wars. The country editor spreads the news, come flood or drought, rain or shine, with the paper we've known for 100 years, the Boort and Combatook Standard Times. He reports the news and writes editorials, sets the press, types copy and more. The country editor does the lot, even makes the coffee and sweeps the floor. The country editor spreads the news, come flood or drought, rain or shine, with the paper we've known for 100 years, the Boort and Combatook Standard Times.